The origin and mythos of Sigurd. The fabled warrior Sigurd belonged to the royal line of Denmark and was a descendant of the deity Odin. According to Norse mythology, he was also a member of Asgard's royal line. Regin, a blacksmith, assembled various parts of a blade that Sigurd's biological father had previously used to create a one-of-a-kind sword for him. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new video on the channel. Today we are going to talk about the origin and mythos of Sigurd. Before we get started with the video, don't forget to smash the like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. Now let's get started. With his sword, Sigurd was able to defeat the dragon Fafnir, which earned him the right to take the golden treasure that it guarded. After roasting and digesting the animal's heart, Sigurd was able to understand the calls of the numerous birds that inhabited the surrounding area. After hearing that Regin meant to betray him, Sigurd had the blacksmith put to death and his head severed. After that, the treasure was fashioned into a ring and placed on Sigurd's finger. He was completely oblivious to the fact that the ring was evil and that anyone who wore it would be doomed to experience ill fortune. Both the Heimskringla and the Orkneyinga sagas are essential reads for anyone interested in learning more about Sigurd's life. According to the sagas, the islands of Orkney and Shetland became a shelter for exiled Vikings who had previously destroyed their native land after the Battle of Hafrsfjord, which took place in or after 872 and consolidated the Norwegian monarchy. This battle took place in or after 872. These Vikings are to blame for the country of Norway being completely wiped out. Harald Fairhair, king of Norway, was able to subdue the Viking pirates with the help of Ragnvald Eysteinn, king of Sweden. Ragnvald Eysteinn was successful in bringing the Viking pirates under control. Ragnvald's son, Ivar, was murdered during the conquest, and as a means of making amends for Ragnvald's loss, Harald bestowed on Rogvald the islands as well as the title of Jarl or Earl. Additionally, the title of Earl was bestowed upon Ragnvald. With Harald's blessing, Ragnvald gave the title and lands to his brother Sigurd, who served as one of Harald's forecastlemen. Harald was pleased with the decision. One of Harald's forecastlemen was a man named Ragnvald. More evidence suggests that Ragnvald's family was responsible for the conquest of the islands, and this proof can be found in the Historia Norwegia, which was published about the same time as the sagas but originated from a separate source. In collaboration with Thorstein the Red, Sigurd expanded his territory to include the mainland of Scotland and subjugated Caithness and Sutherland for a distance that extended at least to Eggjaldsbakka in the south. It is possible that Eggjaldsbakka was located in Moray. However, it is much more likely that it was located further north, perhaps along the banks of the River Oikel. In addition to this, Sigurd formed an alliance with Thorstein the Red. According to the Orkneyinga saga, when Sigurd was nearing the end of his rule, he issued a challenge to a native monarch named Maelbreit the Buck, toothed to fight in a combat with 40 men on each side. The battle was to take place in the midst of the Orkney Islands. Sigurd betrayed his allies by leading 80 of his troops into combat against them. Maelbreit was successfully defeated, and as a consequence, his skull was severed. In order to keep the head as a souvenir, Sigurd attached it to his saddle. However, the buck tooth of Maelbreit caused him to scrape his leg as he rode. As a consequence of the infection and swelling that developed on Sigurd's leg, he developed sepsis, which finally resulted in his passing away. He was laid to rest in a tumulus that came to be known as Sigurðshaug, which can also be spelled as Sigurðr Hauger. The name Sigurðshaug comes from the Old Norse term Hauger, which can be translated as mound or barrow. There is a high probability that the location of Sigurðshaug was in the region that is currently referred to as Sidderhall or Siderhall, and that is close to Dornach. On the other hand, there are reports that he was laid to rest in the town of Berghead, which is located in the county of Moray. Sigurd's death appears to have introduced an element of uncertainty into the circumstances. After he died, his son Guttorm took over, although he could only rule for a few months before dying as well. Ragnvald's son, Halid, was given the earldom of Orkney, but because he was unable to exert any influence over the Viking pirates, he resigned and returned to Norway in shame. Ragnvald, Halid's father, was made Earl of Orkney. According to the sagas, Ragnvald's other sons were more interested in conquering other parts of the world than in conquering Scotland. As a result, the earldom was passed down to Ragnvald's youngest son, Einar, whose mother was a slave. Einar's mother was a slave who gave birth to him. After killing Fafnir, Sigurd proceeded to a nearby castle and awoke Brunhilde, a warrior maiden sent to slumber by Odin. Brunhilde had been dozing off since Odin had put her to bed. Brunhilde conveyed her gratitude to Sigurd for waking her up. Brunhilde was given Sigurd's ring, and he promised to return to complete their marriage vows. While Sigurd was away on his quest, he was given a magical drink that caused him to forget Brunhilde, and as a result, he ended up marrying the Princess Gudrun instead. Gudrun's brother Gunnar attempted multiple times to breach the wall of flames that surrounded Brunhilde's castle in order to gain Brunhilde for himself, but he was unsuccessful. Gunnar's ambition was to seize Brunhilde for himself. Because Sigurd had no idea where Brunhilde was and wanted to help his brother-in-law, he pretended to be Gunnar and went for Brunhilde instead of Gunnar. Sigurd did this because he had entirely lost sight of Brunhilde. Brunhilde believed Sigurd had abandoned her, and as a result, she agreed to Gunnar's marriage to her despite the fact that she did not love him. Brunhilde was outraged by Sigurd's deception and grieved by the loss of their love relationship when she realized that he had lied to her. Brunhilde had no notion Sigurd was teasing her and playing a practical joke on her. After she had ordered her husband's killing, she committed suicide by hanging herself. Sigurd personifies the Norse vision of the ideal human hero, who is stalwart, bold, cunning, and outspoken, and who is always ready to help those around him. Furthermore, Sigurd reflects the human flaws that are present in almost all Norse characters, whether they are gods or people. In Norse mythology, these flaws can be found in both gods and humans. He is easily misled by magic and other sorts of trickery, and as a result, he is exposed to the consequences of a curse he is unaware of. This is a manifestation of the Norse belief in fate and destiny, which holds that certain occurrences cannot be prevented no matter how hard an individual tries. Sigurd's narrative revolves mostly around the themes of betrayal and vengeance from beginning to end. Sigurd severed Regin's head after finding that Regin, the man who had raised him and cared for him as a child, sought to sell him out for his treasure. This act of treason against Sigurd's own father figure was an act of treachery in and of itself. Sigurd later deceives Brunhilde by marrying Gudrun and then pretending to be Gunnar while under the influence of a magical elixir. This occurs while Sigurd is attempting to deceive Brunhilde. Another way in which he betrays Brunhilde is by marrying Gudrun. Brunhilde exacts her sentence for treachery by murdering Sigurd in order to exact revenge on it. The story of Sigurd and Brunhilde can be found in a slightly altered form in the German epic poem Nibelungenlied, in addition to serving as the main narrative of the Volsunga saga. In this rendition, the story is given from Sigurd's perspective rather than Brunhilde's. In this view, Sigurd is given the Germanic surname Siegfried. Siegfried is the title of one of Richard Wagner's operas, which is part of his cycle Die Ring des Nibelungen, sometimes known as the Ring of the Nibelung. The cycle was conceived after seeing this version of the narrative, which served as its inspiration. In Sigurd's story, the hero dies as a result of a cursed ring he obtains as part of a treasure when he kills Fafnir. This ring was eventually responsible for his demise. He receives this ring as part of a treasure as a reward for defeating Fafnir. Many forms of wealth are considered cursed in today's culture because of their origins. Such gems include so-called blood diamonds, which are taken from nations now experiencing civil war and have the potential to be used to pay for large-scale murder. People who worked with the Nazis during YE kept many of the unique diamonds and treasures confiscated from Jewish households before they were imprisoned. That's a wrap on the video. I hope you liked it. If you did, let me know by giving it a thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time.